We back for one of the Young Thug RICO trial court cases, man. We here, bruh. Day 42. Are they gonna free Thug? Let's see if we can get
In
any
addition
type
to
of
that, this
clarity.
case should be dismissed. This is outrageous.
Shout out to CUFBOYs.
No, it does not. No, it doesn't. And you haven't presented any case
I might slow this down, man. I thought I could have it in the fast mode. I think you might already have it in it.
law to tell me how to do that. And I'm telling you, as the judge presiding over this case, if you do that, it's misconduct. I'm telling you right now.
The Young Thug YSL RICO trial returns with fireworks after an 8-day break. The judge screams at both the state and Thug's lawyer Brian Steele. All this because the state says Brian Steele asked Adrian Bean questions that assume facts that aren't in
I ain't gonna
evidence.
pause y'all.
Steele
This
then
video
refutes
already
this
40
claim, and
minutes.
things get intense in the courtroom. This is probably the most insane day we've seen in this courtroom between the judge, the state, and Thug's lawyer. A lot of screaming,
Damn.
a lot of insults.
Damn.
Buckle up, hit subscribe, like the video. Here we go. The first half
Damn,
of the
man,
trial
go
today
subscribe
this
to
morning,
CUFBOYs.
cameras weren't allowed in the courtroom and it was a complete mistake. Kathy right here tweeted, "This has happened several times during the trial where deputies tell the photo that they need to mute or not show witnesses, just for us to later find out that this wasn't the judge's order." These deputies are doing shit they're not supposed to be doing. This trial's a goddamn disaster, but here we go. This is Yacht Gotti's lawyer right here, the bald guy. He's trying to suppress some 2015 interview with Yacht Gotti where apparently he asked for a lawyer, but they continued to question him, which isn't allowed, obviously.
While that judge may have had his reasons, in this particular situation, I look at the same factors he looks at, but
If you watch that video, Mr. Kendrick is getting more and more wound up.
I noticed that. I
That
noticed that.
interrogation, and he's done. He's had it with a lot of. Now, just because they let him cool off for 45 minutes and eat a sandwich for lunch, that doesn't cure that. That doesn't mean that you come back in and immediately start interrogating him, which is what they do.
Something I have to take up now. Let's just take some, I believe, lunch maybe here. Is that
He's taking lunch. The stream just started.
I'm gonna let you all eat lunches. Our jurors will be back shortly.
They come back 2 hours later after a week-long break. Actually, 8-day long break. It's been 8 days since they had court. 2 hours long break at the beginning. Thug got some sort of long sleeve or turtleneck on or something.
Damn,
Let's see
man,
what his
free
ruling is
Thug.
in this interrogation video.
I need to talk to my lawyer. I don't want to talk no more. And at the second video,
Sounds like he's going to be granting this motion from Yacht Gotti's lawyer.
no,
Sorry,
I
y'all,
wanna
my
make
bad.
a-
I keep
okay.
checking this.
Yeah, he's not even
People
done his
outside my
ruling,
ring
and she wants to
camera.
address the court. Dude, this prosecutor, man, she's so aggravating.
I want to make my ruling, okay? I can take this on argument, and that's what I'm going to do. What's been admitted for the court's consideration, that particular portion of the video is what I need to focus on. Mr. Kendrick was in custody, whether or not Miranda was
Bro, I
appropriate
fuck
at that
with
point in
this,
time, and
this
whether or not he
judge,
invoked
man.
his right to counsel.
And whether he reinitiated it.
Yes.
We have the officer to talk about that.
I don't need that at this point in time. I really don't. What I heard on the video was I need to talk to my lawyer. I don't want to talk no more. That is equivocal to this court, me, Judge Glanville,
Me, Judge Gladwell.
invoked his or withdrew his consent at that point in time and did not wish to speak to law enforcement officers anymore. He has invoked his right at that point in time, and it's this court's opinion that anything thereafter would be inadmissible.
Your Honor, the court also found that he reinitiated, and that was what.
But that's their issue. That's not my issue.
I wonder if Brian Steele's been using Scentbird like I've been all this week.
get
You
the
don't
bag,
profit
though.
for your
I ain't mad at it.
Only as good as the information that you're given. Questioning
perfect.
needs to stop. He's unequivocally revoked. And you can't pick and choose at this point in time whether or not it's to this particular crime or any other assertion. So that's why I'm going to suppress it.
Your Honor, with respect to the statements that were made after that time,
And she's not happy with the ruling, and she tries to fight it, of course. And this isn't going to go well.
it was the defendant that reinitiated the conversation with Detective Thorpe. Our representations to the court
Look at-
are not
look at
evidence.
the
It's
judge
the
on
state
top.
has the burden of proof.
Okay, but I've seen the video at this point in time.
Video does not encompass when the defendant actually reinitiated contact.
Well, then it looks like you're screwed. It's not on video.
He invokes, and then we don't know what goes on in the 45 minutes, but we come back afterwards, and at that point in time, you don't get to eat your cake, have your cake and eat it too. It's once he invokes, that's it. It's over.
Your Honor, that's
They
what-
should not be bringing him back at that point in time and asking, well, let me just clarify a little bit about whether or not these statements were made to these set of detectives.
First, the defendant asked for a smoke. So they took him out for a smoke. When they took him out for a smoke, the defendant reinitiated the conversation as they went outside. That is what they found in the district court, but the court doesn't owe that deference. That is why we have, as a burden of proof, holding the burden of proof, that is the reason we have Detective Thorpe here to
I
testify.
don't need his. I consider it. It's this court's opinion that once he invokes, you don't get another bite of the apple by taking him outside, softening him
Damn.
up, giving him a cigarette, some bonbons or whatever, and then letting him go ahead and then say, oh well, let me just clarify with you a little bit.
He said soften it up and offer him a cigarette.
I think that you all are just annoyed more so that your detective did something that he probably regrets now. and that you all probably would not have told him to do.
I'll
Don't
tell
interrupt
man,
this
this
particular
judge, bro, I'm fucking
investigation
with him, bro.
or this particular
He
hearing,
real.
because what you
He
did is you
real.
just now created a wrinkle that now I got to deal with, or whether or not the defendant has invoked his right to counsel.
I know Judge Glanville shows some bias towards the state sometimes, and some people think he's banging Miss Love. Like, that's true. He ain't getting no pussy for weeks on end. That's not true. Obviously, I'm joking around. This shit is pure entertainment, and I think he's making the right ruling. I mean, if someone asks for their lawyer, you can't soften them up with some damn cigarettes and some damn Cinnabons or some shit.
Well, maybe should I get a lawyer? Maybe should I do whatever this or? But he's pretty significant in the sense of I need to talk to my lawyer. I don't want to talk to no one.
And Your Honor, our case law shows that even when that happens, when the defendant reinitiates the conversation and communication, that the court has found that those statements made after the defendant reinitiates conversation, the statements that he makes are not to be suppressed. And in this case, the defendant reinitiated the conversation, not the officers.
But you don't have the part where he reinitiates on camera, and you only have a detective's testimony that she wants to show. So it's like, that's too risky for this judge to take that.
Facts.
That's your ruling. Thank you. I have nothing to add, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, the conversation being reinitiated by the defendant, that actually happened, and we have the proof here to show it to the court.
That question is supposed to stop. You're not supposed to go out and get cigarettes and do everything else. It's supposed to stop. I mean, that's this court's opinion, and that's my ruling.
And Your Honor, the thing is that, Your Honor, we did not.
You're arguing with me now, Ms. Love. So can we stop at this point in time? If you've got other
So can
evidence,
we
have
stop
other
at this
evidence,
point in time?
I'll consider it at the appropriate time.
And we do, and that is what I was asking. So if the court will permit me to actually introduce the evidence that we have.
He's already done his ruling. She's arguing. She's being disruptive. Hold her in contempt. I'm just joking. That's probably a little extra, but...
Until the suspect reinitiates the conversation. They hold
Your
those
Honor,
two
at
things.
some
Your
point,
Honor,
Your
I'm sorry,
Honor,
I'm talking,
Your
and I
Honor,
don't know
at
why
some
I am
point,
being interrupted.
your
I will
rulings
not
need to
stop.
be
Your
final.
Honor, I was speaking.
Y'all
I'm sorry, I was speaking.
Both y'all can talk at the same time.
I know, I was
Honor, the
speaking, and
state-
I
Hold on,
was allowed to speak. When
The deputy's getting involved. Deputy said, Miss Love, oh, this is fireworks. This is just what I needed after a break.
I'm speaking.
Hey, both of you all need to just take it down a notch.
And so, Your Honor, if I may finish, because I was the one.
Damn.
I love Invented Element.
This shit was getting good. Hey man, that's crazy.
But you have
You're yapping when he already ruled. Like, you gotta take the L.
continually engaged in this pattern of behavior, Ms. Love. You don't want to accept my ruling.
Your Honor,
And I know you're being an advocate, but at some point, stop.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Yeah, you're being extra.
I made my ruling. Good, bad, or indifferent to you. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some.
I do.
Okay, no,
But
you
Judge, we
don't.
have
No,
not-
you don't.
Your Honor, we
You
have
gonna
just
win
not been
some, you
able to
gonna
present
lose some.
evidence.
Take
No,
your
no,
L
I
and move
get
on.
it, I get it.
But Your Honor, that's the point that we have the witness here, that we brought the witness here, and had him cancel medical appointments to testify to the court about. We brought the witness here.
I
so that
made
we
a
could
ruling.
present-
That has nothing to do with it.
No, Your Honor, I was saying that we were ready to present evidence, and the court is not allowing us to present the evidence. That's all that I'm saying.
There's literally a video of the interrogation where the man says, I don't want to talk no more. I want my lawyer, essentially. Then you take him outside for cigarettes, and apparently he talks to you outside.
Damn.
Still yapping. Why is he letting her talk still? Like, he should just be like, it's done. We need to move on. It's been 8 days since we had court, and you're yapping about this interrogation video right now.
I am standing here emphatically asking that the court allow the state to present its evidence so that the court can make a ruling based on the evidence and not on the assertion by one party or the other as to what should or could be done. We have evidence that I believe that the state is entitled to present, and the court is entitled to hear, unless without hearing Detective Thorpe, the court is
Mr. Weinstein keeps trying to talk, but he can't get a word out.
making a credibility judgment before even hearing what he has to say.
May I please speak? Please. May I please speak?
And Your Honor, I was asking that the court.
Are you finished now?
I was not, Your Honor. I was
Your
really
Honor,
not.
she is-
Hold up. You got 30 more seconds. Wrap it up.
And Your Honor, I'd ask again the court for the opportunities.
Bro, she's saying the same thing over and over
It's
again.
been 30 seconds. It's had to have been 30 seconds, right?
Your Honor, I apologize for interrupting the state earlier, but the state can talk the ears off a donkey. This continued filibuster.
You see her laughing?
Okay. All right, Mr. Weinstein snapping, bro.
Interrupting the state earlier, but the state can talk the ears off a donkey. This continued filibustering has got to stop so that
It
opposing.
wasn't him that laughed, but someone else in the courtroom laughed out loud.
Your rulings at some point have got to be final, Your Honor. Whether you hear from Detective Thorpe or not is irrelevant. He requested his lawyer, he invoked his right to not speak anymore, and I don't care what schmoozing Detective Thorpe did out at the Sally Port, taking my client off camera I don't know what went on down there. I don't know what self-serving, well, I have some idea. I don't know what self-serving statement Detective Thorpe could possibly give to this court that would cause the court to change their order. This continued going back whenever the state loses in this case has got to stop at some point, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mic drop.
For
They
real.
be bitching all the time when they lose anything, dude. Finally, evidence gets suppressed in favor of the defense, and she has a goddamn temper tantrum and causes a scene for 30 minutes in the courtroom. What the fuck? What up, bro? What just popped up on my Twitter? This guy invited a 14-year-old boy to his house? Oh, hell nah. Oh, he's laughing. Maybe it was Doug that laughed out loud.
I'm going to leave my original ruling as is. Was Mr. Bean ever in at Grady Hospital?
Yes, he was at Grady Hospital. He was held in Grady detention by 2 officers, a different incident that had nothing to do with this incident, and he was kept for that purpose. No one talked to him, no one interviewed him, no one interacted with him about this case and the facts of the 2013 incident at all. There's none of that. Mr. Steele told the court that he had a good faith basis for asking the questions that he did.
She's upset about Brian Steele asking Adrian Bean on cross last week about him being interviewed at Grady Hospital pertaining to the 2013 case. She's saying it never happened and that those questions shouldn't have been asked because they aren't in evidence. I'm sure Brian Steele's gonna have something to say about that, but let's see what happens.
Assumed and in fact put in the jury's mind that there was evidence that does not exist. So at this point, the jury will be looking for a statement from the hospital when there was not one made. No one questioned Mr. Bean at the hospital about this incident.
So then how was he at Grady medical detention? Was that a different incident, or was he actually at Grady?
He went to Grady detention.
She said that was a different
He was
incident,
taken there by Officer Faust.
And is Grady detention on the campus of Grady Hospital?
Yes, it is a part of Grady Hospital. Mr. Steele represented to the court was that Detective Velazquez testified that...
What the?
A phone
I had to
call?
go make sure Fonnie was sending him more money.
And there's a detention facility that's actually at Grady Hospital, correct? Is that what Mr. Steele was referring to, or could it be that he's referring to that?
Your Honor, this is the issue that I have with what Mr. Steele is doing, that the questions Mr. Steele is putting upon the witness assumes facts that are not in evidence. Mr. Steele has responded by saying he has a good faith basis, but instead what he is
The court
doing...
asked him that, and he can ask the question if he has a good faith basis. I mean, that he cannot misrepresent or lie to the court about Mr. Bean's whereabouts. So I wanted to make sure that was kind of not occurring.
Yeah, I mean, he asked if he had good faith basis. Brian Steele said yes.
His question, why did you do that, assumes that the witness did that. And there's no evidence that the witness
She got
did
so
that.
much attitude
And
with
Your
this
Honor, he
shit.
also 28 times has asked, when you talk to your wife on an unrecorded
That does need to be rephrased. I agree.
at Grady Hospital, there's no evidence that he did that. There's no evidence that will come in, and there's no evidence that Mr. Steele can bring to the court. And if he does, I would ask that he proffer it, because I listened to the information, to the recording that Mr. Steele gave us at 6 o'clock that day that he presented, that he cross-examined Mr. Bean. And he's asked a plethora of questions that are nowhere in that recording. And he is doing it on the basis that he is confronting him with his prior statements. But the problem that I have is this. In that recording, Mr. Steele references prior conversations that he has had with Mr. Bean. So in an effort to discern what he's talking about or what information Mr. Steele may have fed Mr. Bean or what happened, suggesting to the jury, planting in the jury's mind that this witness made certain statements to the police at the hospital when he did not. Mr. Steele doesn't have any evidence whatsoever, any statement. He doesn't have any recording. He doesn't have anything. He has not asked the witness. He has not done anything to present a statement at the hospital by this witness. Did you talk to Detective Lewis? Or you talked to Detective Lewis, didn't you? Instead, he's saying, why?
Hey, babe.
Damn.
You want to go to a show tonight?
Hit me as soon as I look down on my phone, man.
Talk to Detective Lewis, did X, Y, and Z occur?
So her main backbone to this story is that Adrian Bean never went to that hospital. There might have been confusion with that hospital and the detention center. They're on the same property apparently, but I'm sure Brian Steele's going to have some evidence that proves he was actually at that hospital.
Then I would ask that the court prohibit him from referring to anything of the sort that did not occur. I ask that the court listen to that 10-minute conversation that Mr. Steele had with Mr. Bean, and then the court will understand why the state is objecting to Mr. Steele's questions. Why did you do this when you gave your statement to the police at the hospital? He knows that Mr. Bean said in his interview with Detective Quinn, when I talked to the first guy, I said X. That was on scene. That was on scene. And Mr. Steele knows that. He knows there's no suggestion that that happened at a hospital.
So nobody had a conversation with Mr. Bean at Grady.
Correct. And if Mr. Steele wants to say that he did, it is his burden once the state has asked the court to determine that so that we can get this issue resolved. He has to show
Did he put it back in normal speed?
where the statement is. It's
'Cause she
fabricated
is
evidence.
yapping.
He is trying to fabricate evidence to confuse and mislead the jury so that when the jury hears his question, they already have in his mind, oh, there's an interview at the hospital. Where is it? Why haven't we presented it? Why didn't the state present it? I have no doubt at the end they come up with this, the state didn't show you the interview at the hospital when one doesn't exist. So I would ask that Mr. Steele be required, one, to turn over any kind of information that he has.
You better hope there ain't no evidence of an interview at a hospital right now. Because if he comes up here and shows evidence of an interview at a hospital, then she's gonna look dumb as hell. Brian Steele up, let's see what his response is.
Can I ask you the $64,000 question, Mr. Steele, to begin with? Sure. Is there an interview of Mr. Bean at the hospital or Grady detention facility?
Yes, that's what he told
Okay,
me.
can I see it?
That's what I've been asking for.
No, do you have it? Do you have one?
No, I've been asking for.
Well, okay, here's our challenge. Unless you know there's one and the state's told you they don't have one, you don't really have a good faith basis to ask that question.
Mr. Bean told me.
But now it has come to light that Mr. Bean he's at Grady. He's in Grady detention, but he hasn't made a statement to anybody else, any law enforcement officers.
Let me take you back, because that's not the way I understand it. I can't tell you which detective. I can tell you that is what he said, and it's backed up.
Ooh, Steele might have made a mistake saying good faith basis here. He doesn't even have the interview.
The reason I believe that he went to the jail, not straight to the jail, as being told to you. This is the file. It was given in discovery by the state of Georgia to Mr. Williams and all. This is the police radio traffic. You heard some of it during the trial through the witness who identified the radio traffic. And it reads, down here on Cleveland Avenue, status of 4, that means ambulance, Your Honor, you heard that through the testimony, for a 34-year-old black male with injuries to his shoulders, head, and to his back. If you remember, Mr. Bean was born 6/22, 1979. That would make him 34 years old on September 11th, 2013.
So an ambulance was called for Adrian Bean when he got hit by a car running from the police. That's good proof that he went to the hospital, but ain't got no body cams of these officers, like putting him in the ambulance or anything?
Okay, so why not bring him to Grady? So why not bring him to Grady? Isn't he injured from the crash? He's probably going to be injured, Sarge. That's why they're taking him to Grady detention, so probably be injured. Okay, copy that. So I knew he was at Grady when Miss Love was making these representations that I'm misrepresenting. There is a recording, and it's at 1949. We can play it for you. It's Detective Quinn and Mr. Bean. So 6 days later, Adrian Bean states as follows: yes, sir, I lied to the detectives when they first came and talked to me. And I told them that's probably the lies that you're talking about. Detective Quinn then said, okay, what did you tell them? Adrian Bean, I told them Big Fred was driving. So we're sitting here. I have zero information on when Mr. Bean spoke with detectives. But I do know this. Mr. Bean told me that he spoke to detectives at the hospital. Detective Calhoun testified before the court. Went down to the hospital. Spoke with, it's on recording, Fred Frethrow. Fred Frethrow was asked, what happened? Who was in the car? Fred Frethrow said, DK, Adrian Bean, and me. 3 occupants. It's on recording. As my eyes roll out of my head, I'm about to show you why I do not believe the City of Atlanta Police Department at all. This is served in discovery. If you will see and take note, once we arrived at Grady Memorial Hospital, there were 2 males being brought in for gunshot wounds. Then it starts, he advised that. In C is in Colette, Charlie, but in D, it says he advised me. Then D is whited out. The entire part is now vacant. So when I sit here and I hear Miss Love tell me how diabolical I am, and how I don't have a recording, or I don't have a statement, or I don't have a note, or a summary, or a writing that Mr. Bean was interviewed at the jail, at the detention center after Ms. Love told this honorable court, total misrepresentations. I don't know, I assume that she had a good faith belief, because that's just what I do with lawyers, but she attacks me like I'm out of my mind when this is in the discovery. This is all, she knows this. And then I'm giving C&D, which is clearly going to come out before your court, because if the state doesn't call investigators, I'm calling investigators. Because this is what I would say is corruption. Because I don't see this
Do
often.
we know why one statement is incomplete and the other one is?
And why I have no recording, and why I only have this on the 17th day of September, and why Detective Calhoun's is all in recording and a report on that day, and why is it that Adrian Bean tells Detective Quinn, when I first spoke to the detective, I lied to them about Fred Frethrow driving, and why is Adrian Bean telling me, yeah, the police wanted young thug, Jeffrey Williams, whatever the words are.
So some shit's redacted in these statements of a detective and Adrian Bean's conversation, I believe. Like it's literally whited out on the paper.
Involved in this case. And why is it that Adrian Bean is on a jail call with his wife? It's the next day. It's September 12th of 2013. And his wife says on that jail call, the homicide investigator, don't be Detective Quinn, came by a second time yesterday. That's the day of the incident. And he told me that the driver, people think the driver's a woman wearing a wig, but it's really a man. It's a boy. And Detective Quinn is giving this information. And whoever the driver is in big trouble. But if Mr. Bean is a passenger, he may not have any charges. And on that same recording, Adrian Bean is telling his wife, they gave us a story to tell. And Adrian Bean tells me, with Investigator Martin, that story to tell happened at the hospital. Now, he blames it on Detective Quinn. It's also 10 years before. Maybe it's not Detective Quinn. I'm not saying it's Detective Lewis. My questions were some detective. But his point is, it's a detective that introduced Jeffrey Williams to this. And then you could go through the crime, which I'm going to do. Crime scene photographs. There's not room for 4 people in the back of the car. Now, just imagine a 6'3" young man sitting in the waves of those bullets. They can't get around. There is no one else in the car. And the state is blaming me for this. This is outrageous. And I can ask every single question the way I ask it, and I ask it properly. And Adrian Bean, for all that he's worth, the jury makes a determination. And what Ms. Love is trying to do is obstruct the truth from coming out. Because she knows all this. That's why last time I was a fibber for telling the court that he went to Grady Hospital. When she realizes it's patently true, now I'm a fibber because no one spoke with him. And I'm just supposed to believe that these officers took him down and they had him on wraps and no one spoke with Adrian Bean. I apologize to the court. That's also a jury. Juries make those determinations. In addition to that, this case should be dismissed. This is outrageous. I'm going to do that once I get it into evidence before the court, but I'll do it now since it came up and Miss Love is attacking me. And this evidence is wrong. I ask continuously for all these videos. I don't get it. And then months later, I'm getting a video on the shooting at the movie theater, which I know you don't know about yet, but it's about Christmas of
When I was accepted
Damn.
to SGU, that was one.
I was actually intrigued in that shit, man.
The point I'm trying to make to you, Your Honor, is this is a moving target by the state of Georgia. And no, to say that I have no good faith belief because I can't show this honorable court where these statements are, that's my point. It's Brady evidence. This is all Brady evidence. And if this happened in another forum, on misrepresenting this honorable court, I have never done that. I will not do that. And I will never, ever do it to any court. That's not what we do. But I also understand my duty is to make this process rigorous, and I'm going to fight for Jeffrey Williams in every lawful and ethical manner the entire time. And that includes destroying Adrian Bean's testimony and revealing the truth. I don't have to, by law, give anything to the state. In addition to that, Your Honor, you heard Detective Velasquez testify that he destroys recordings. I have never heard that before. You heard Detective Benton say that that is a crime.
Brian Steele having a vintage performance right now, just adding list and list. I wonder what the judge is going to say, though. The judge really hasn't spoken.
We have delayed the trial for Miss Love. I was cross-examining Mr. Bean last time. I wanted to cross-examine him now. I have every reason. I've impeached him. He said that he did not tell me or Ms. Martin things on that recording. He did not, or he doesn't remember. I've laid the foundation. The honorable court wants me to lay the foundation. I laid the foundation. I intend to play the recording with him. I'm also going to play the recording with Mr. Bean and Detective Quinn. Mr. Bean was asked questions by the state of Georgia. They left out all the parts that Mr. Bean admits that he lied on jail calls to his wife. The state didn't ask him about that. I will ask him. Now I plan on playing that recording. It's about 2 hours and 30 minutes. Where Mr. Bean specifically tells his wife, and he explains it on the recording to me. They gave us a story to tell. He wants to get out of jail. He inserted Jeffrey Williams, an innocent man. And I would like this court to bar this trial from going forward. Because this is what I'm dealing with. And it's not only now. You are going to hear this. I know I did it earlier, but you're going to hear it over and over again. And Ms. Love continues to try to make me some sort of villain. From her opening statement and defies the court order, don't mention that I'm representing anybody, don't mention any appeal. She puts it on the screen. She asked witnesses, did the Honorable Chief Adams or I speak with a witness? That is not biased. That's what we're supposed to do. You would go crazy on me and Attorney Adams if we didn't interview all these witnesses. That's why we take these breaks. Because the state dumped on us all these witnesses in September, October. I need to interview them. I did not hear an apology from District Attorney Love, telling the court that I'm not being candid with the court. I don't want her apology, by the way. I wouldn't want it. I don't seek it. But I do want the Brady evidence. I believe that these exist. I believe that there is a memo, a statement, a recording. Nobody goes and talks with Mr. Bean. Why would he say that to the detective 6 days later and say, I lied to your whatever his coworker, I'm not looking at right now. I lied to your detective, your coworker, your son. Why would he say that? And why would Detective Quinn say, yeah, all right, well, tell me what you said?
Yeah, clearly something was said initially, and it wasn't given or not provided to the defense. Like, that's insane.
Detective Quinn wasn't like, what? You were interviewed? I don't have a statement. What are you talking about? But now, of course, I'm stuck with Detective Quinn telling me, no, I don't have anything, Mr. Steele. So my point to you, Your Honor, is this is total misconduct. But I have never seen, this is the second time. I don't know if you realize it, because of the pretrial motion, it's the second time that statements, police officers' statements are totally wiped out or changed. And to have a lawyer come up and tell you, Your Honor, how lack of candor I have when District Attorney Love knows all this. This is in her own exhibit that's introduced into evidence on radio traffic. And if she doesn't know it, then say, I don't know the case. I should be making these representations. And where is the documentation that she had on March 4th telling this honorable court that Mr. Bean never went to a hospital and went right to jail, which concerns this honorable court. And you told me, hey, this is important. You're not going to manipulate anybody. I know you're not going to do it. Figure it out. I know you don't want to play games with the court or whatever your words were. You said all that. I know you wouldn't ever do it on purpose. If they don't like what's coming out, that's for a jury to determine. But I have the rubber has met the road. I'm here. I'm prepared. I'm focused. And I want to go forward. I'd like you to declare that this case should not go forward because I don't understand how I don't have this information. And it doesn't make sense that, oh, no one got the surveillance. Are you joking? Did you see how many police officers there? There is a recording. They were looking at the surveillance video. You heard that. Mr. Adams played that. Or the state actually played it. Mr. Adams asked them to play it. But I don't get the surveillance video from September 11, 2013. How is this all just no big deal? I think it's a big deal. And I think that this is an unfair, not you, Your Honor. This is an unfair trial to put this on Mr. Williams. And the state is not giving me Brady evidence and now trying to thwart a cross-examination.
Your Honor, additionally, Mr. Steele failed to say to the court, point to the court. Instead, he spit out allegations and insults that were meant to, I suppose, take the place of actual evidence. There is no statement, Your Honor. He pointed to, there's no statement made by Adrian Bean at the hospital. I was wondering why he didn't play the interview that he had with Adrian Bean.
Folks, it's about 3:40. Can we, since I don't think we're going to get to our jury today, can I ask them to come back tomorrow?
The state has no objection.
We're dismissing the jury after they just wait in the box for 5 hours, probably longer. I'm about to play the 10-minute interview with Adrian Bean, I believe, with Brian Steele. Oh my God, the audio is dog shit. This is from January of 2023 in a grocery store.
Call it correction to a sidewalk. You know what I'm talking about? Not familiar with it? Okay.
So he remembers it. He didn't remember it on the stand.
Jeffrey Williams, was he in, around, participant, give a direction, anything about that event that we're talking about
I can't even hear none.
He said, no, sir, he was not involved, okay?
Trying to force something in on something that he wasn't even, like, I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Hold on, yo. Let me fix my audio. All right, we back to it. I gotta fix it.
I don't know how his name really got mentioned. Maybe it was a lot of hype in the streets. Or, you know, I might was inconfident telling him to say his name, but I mean, him and then saying that he was with us. You know what I'm saying? And when you say that they wanted him about the case or whatever your words were, who's that? Detectives.
At some point, he said the police tried to force him in.
You said they gave us a story to tell. Remember hearing that?
In the right corner no more?
Tell us
The
what
left
that meant.
corner no more?
They was really telling us like, hey, put Doug in on this right here. I mean, if you don't put him on that, you could be facing a lot of time and all some shit like that. You know what I mean? And who is they again? I know the point.
Detective Quinn wanted them to put Thug in the situation, and he was scared because he was facing a lot of time. Now, do we believe Adrian Bean's word? Not really. His whole testimony is ass. I don't believe it. He's admitted to lying to so many people.
I was in the hospital. You know what I mean? When shit happened.
He just said he was at the hospital.
If you're not
Damn,
making
bro.
$158,000,
CUFBOYS been hit me on this video, man, with the ads. Damn.
Because the police told you to say that, so you get out of trouble. Is that the reason? Yeah. Okay.
Police told him he would get out of trouble if he said Thug was involved, but this could just be lying, bro. His whole testimony needs to be thrown out, man. Doesn't favor the state or the defense.
You want to know his music and his reputation? Like time I heard him on the radio.
Okay, so
So he's saying he only knows him to the neighborhood and heard him on the radio. Probably a lie, dude. Come on.
The first thing you hear Detective Quinn saying is something akin to, I'm Detective Quinn, have we met? And Adrian Bean never says, yeah, remember I talked to you yesterday or day before, some other time. And Adrian Bean, in his conversation with Detective Quinn back in 2013, he says, yeah, I told him at first. And the reference that he is making, based on everything that is around this conversation, is that while he was on the scene, he told them someone else was driving. Mr. Steele's question to Adrian Bean, why did you tell the detective at the hospital, Grady Hospital, on September 11, 2013, that it was not you, but your dear friend driving that Nissan vehicle? That's so wrong on so many levels. Number one, he is injecting stuff, assertions to the jury that doesn't exist, manufacturing evidence. What he should have done was ask Mr. Bean whether or not he spoke with someone at the hospital. He can lead him. He can say, you spoke with a detective at the hospital, right? Because that's all that's in this interview that we have between him and Mr. Bean. You spoke with a detective at the hospital, right? And that detective was Detective Quinn, right? What if he says, I don't know, I don't remember, then he can confront him with an inconsistent statement, which is, didn't you tell me and Investigator Martin
He was leading him a little bit, but he...
that you talked to Detective Quinn at the hospital? He can say yes or he can say no. And then he can play the statement that he talked to Detective Quinn at the hospital. What he cannot do is assert, as if it is fact, why did you tell the detective at the hospital, Grady Hospital, on September 11, 2013?
So for some clarification, a huge point of contention is which detective interrogated Bean at the hospital. The state is dying on the hill that no statement was ever given. They originally said Bean never went to the hospital. Bean has said he gave a statement to someone, but it was Detective Quinn. There's evidence that it most likely was not Quinn, and Bean was either wrong or lying. Steele seems to think it was Detective Lewis, but there's no evidence of that. The issue here is if no statement was given, why is there a ton of evidence that a statement was given, or at least that Bean was in the hospital? If a statement was given, where is it? A bunch of confusion about a statement and an interview of Bean at a hospital. Clearly something happened, but it was either covered up or just being hidden from the defense.
Speculation, conjecture, and assertions as fact in his questions to Mr. Bean. If you compare the two, it is literally the first draft of the final draft. And Judge, that is the only disagreement that I have. I don't care if he says, did you talk to a detective at the hospital? That's the point I'm making. I don't care if he says, did you lie? I don't care if he says, did you talk to your wife on an unrecorded line? I don't care if he does that. But what he does is says, why did you tell your wife on an unrecorded line at the hospital? So that necessarily assumes a fact that is not in evidence.
On the recording that you just heard, again, the first couple of minutes, I don't have the time in front of me, was not shown on the screen. Mr. Bean said when he spoke with the detectives or the authorities, whatever his words are, at the hospital.
So Adrian said he spoke with detectives first at the hospital. She's saying otherwise.
Well, I'm going to tell you that I haven't heard anything that would indicate that's true. You have a good faith basis to ask that.
You haven't heard anything of who he spoke with. That's my point.
That's the point.
But you all can't. But you two, neither one of you can proffer that. It's not proper, Mr. Steele. It's not. It would be a violation before me for you to put that in front of this jury. You are saying to the court that you have a belief that there is another statement out there. There's not.
How would you say that?
Because it hasn't been brought up. If it gets brought up, then we'll correct it at that point in time. But right now, I'm going to direct you not to inquire that line. You don't have a basis to do so. Well, go ahead and make a statement and see what happens. Go ahead and make a statement.
Just let him talk. The judge just let him talk.
Contravention to what I just told you, and I'm telling you that you will have some problems in front of me.
I'm trying to articulate to you.
You have told me everything at this point. You have told me that there's got to be a statement. Now, if you find a statement, I will want to apologize to you. At this point, there's nothing for me to do other than if you don't have a good faith basis to do it, you can't ask a question.
Oh, the judge might have to apologize to him if he finds it.
There is a recording between Detective Quinn and Adrian Bean where Adrian Bean says, I lied to your...
But we don't know what he lied about.
He says he lied about who he's talking about, the car.
But we still don't know whether or not he had a conversation with Detective Lewis.
And I made it clear. It's 10 years ago.
But you said you had in your conversation with Detective Lewis. That's what you proffer.
I said, or any other detective or law enforcement. Read the transcript. I made it clear. I don't know. He doesn't remember names. He says it was Detective Quinn. Also on the recording, on Sunday, January 22, 2023, Mr. Bean is the one who said this happened in the hospital. Your Honor, I'm the one complaining that I don't have a statement. I've been asking for it. This is great. Clearly there's a statement.
But we don't know if there's a statement. You're supposing there's a statement, okay? And there may be. And you know what I said? And you know what I said earlier? I said if there is Brady that's not disclosed, then that particular individual is going to have some problems with me. I told you that already. Or I have a lot of different remedies I can execute at that point in time.
Judge, I've been robbed of the statement.
But we don't know where the statement is. If we find the statement or it comes up or in cross-examination, Quinn brings up and says, hey, I have a statement right here in my massive file. And if he does, then, of course, I will revisit this particular subject again.
I'm saying it's been deleted. It's been destroyed.
We don't know. You don't know. We don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. We had the same issue that happened earlier in this trial about a statement. We don't know whether or not it was a hack or whether...
Bro, this is so entertaining. This is
Yeah, for real.
I think there was
I'm
one
just
because
locked
the
in.
conversations don't make sense otherwise. Like, someone interviewed Bean at a hospital. Who arrests someone, takes him to the hospital, and doesn't interview him when he was running from the police? And there's people shot in the car.
It's intentional. Now you can make whatever you want out of it. I mean, and the jury can decide for what they want to give it. But you cannot ask the question in its current form. You just can't.
Your Honor, I'm not asking a question, but you have to understand the following, please. 6 days later, Detective Quinn and Adrian Bean are on recording where Adrian Bean tells Detective Quinn, I lied.
About what?
I lied.
About what?
Who is driving the car? He gets cut off. Detective Quinn says, yeah, tell me about it. Where's that statement? That's what I've been asking for. But that doesn't still give you the latitude.
Want to start a business?
Oh
I
my
can show you how
gosh,
easy it is to
man.
form one in
Oh my gosh, I'm getting hit with all types of.
Now I told you,
man.
if we find out from Quinn, and I'm telling the state that if I find out that the statement exists, there's going to be a lot of unhappy people.
But what if you don't find out it exists? I still am entitled to. That's my whole point.
Okay, but here's the thing: you've asked me for it. I've asked them. If it comes up later, or I find out it's sitting someplace that was in possession of the state, pursuant to case law and definition, then we'll have some problems.
I understand, but you're asking when you have to find a statement. I'm telling you the statement was made.
We don't. It doesn't work that way, Mr. Steele. I'm sorry. No, it does not. No, it doesn't. And you haven't presented any case law to tell me how to do that. And I'm telling you, as the judge presiding over this case, if you do that, it's misconduct.
I'm not doing anything.
I'm telling you right now.
I don't know what you're telling me.
I am telling you, you have no good faith basis in point to ask that question right now, or to intimate that.
I didn't ask any question. You are I'm ready to bust down. I'm going to play the recording you just heard. He's at the hospital speaking with law enforcement. I want that. It's backed up because on recording.
They go
it's
and add it.
to that side of the building, Your Honor. Detective Quinn and Mr. B are talking about this statement that Mr. B made prior. I don't know. When the court asked me, well, you got
Oh,
I
shit.
Then we'll have some problems. Then we'll have some issues.
I have an issue now. I didn't get anywhere. The state's supposed to keep this.
Let me ask you. Okay, stop for a second. Ms. Love, have you inquired of Detective Quinn where this other statement or maybe?
Judge, that's just it. Mr. Steele is literally manufacturing evidence. There is no other statement. I have asked whether or not there was a statement. I asked Tracy Lewis at the hospital. Let me be real clear, because he keeps conflating stuff. Adrian Bean never told Detective Quinn that he made a statement at the hospital. I have his
But
transcript.
okay, but we don't know where he made the statement, and also he's lied, so we don't know what he lied about either.
Your Honor, to be very clear, there's no statement. I've asked Detective Lewis. They can ask Detective Lewis. She never talked to him. Detective Quinn, who is the only person, it's not just police, the only person Adrian Bean asserts to Brian Steele in this recording that he gave us, this 10-minute recording, he said, I spoke to Detective Quinn, manufacturing something. So when the court is even asking me, okay, do you know what this statement is? Assuming that there's not a statement. There is no statement. There's no evidence. That's the problem with Mr. Steele asking questions the way that he asked them.
This is so sloppy. Why isn't everything recorded? And why are there detectives deleting statements initially from witnesses on the scene? Like, shit is so sloppy. This makes the police look bad, if anything, not even the state or the defense. Like, a detective should not be able to delete statements.
And he is usurping the jury's providence and their ability to discern and weigh evidence because he is injecting assertions into his questions about things that don't exist. There's been no evidence, no suggestion that the state has destroyed any evidence. They're going to ask it a million times. So that's what Mr. Steele is doing with this whole statement at the hospital. He's going to ask it a million times. So the jury's sitting there going, well, where is it? And then, in the end, $100 says that he gets out there and says, they destroyed the statement from the hospital.
I thought the detective did say he deleted someone's initial statement. I forgot which witness it was.
Knowing he has no evidence that one even exists.
Some questions that Mr. Steele was asked on his interview that would be appropriate and are appropriate, but in terms of the hospital questions thus far, those need to be clarified in front of our jury at this point.
What clarification?
No, meaning that I'm going to strike them from the record at this point in time. They can be until there's a basis for me to go ahead and consider them. The state's made an objection. The objection they made continually is assuming facts aren't evidence. They're not in those facts aren't evidence.
Judge, it's on recording. Mr. Bean said, you just heard, I know you only heard it one time, we played again. He said this happened at the hospital. You are striking, you are going to be commenting on the evidence. This is for the jury to determine. This is what he told me on that recording. It's on recording. He said this happened at the hospital, talking about when he spoke to the detective.
He said that, or that was his question upon you asking it.
I've never mentioned a hospital. If you don't listen to it, for 2 or 3 minutes.
I'll listen to it again. Let me hear it again.
Ooh, let's see who brings up the hospital first. Here we go.
Okay, so we were just around, you know what I'm saying? Who's in the hospital? I was in the hospital.
Stop. All right, run it back.
He said we was in the hospital before hospital ever got brought up. All their heads looked up. Look at this. Look at all their heads look up.
Okay, so we were just around, you know what I'm saying? Who's in the hospital? I was in the hospital.
Stop. All right, run it back, please.
Even Thug's eyes instantly looked up when he heard hospital.
All right, Mr. Bean says we were in the hospital.
Yes, Your Honor, he says that we were in the hospital. He does not say that he was that he gave any statement to Detective Lewis at the hospital.
But that goes to weight. I mean, that goes to weight and sufficiency in what the jury wants to believe or don't believe. I mean, it's clear from the state. It's clear now to the tape again that Mr. Steele, that was not a production of a product of Mr. Steele's questioning. It was the witnesses saying, hey, he was in the hospital.
We were laying there.
Okay, but he's got a good faith basis because he's got a couple of different sources. He's got this interview. He's got the radio traffic. He's got Williams 202, which is radio traffic. And he's got the interview of him and Detective Quinn. If he's got all those things, Ms. Love, he's got a good faith basis to ask those particular, because they're different source documents, but it doesn't take away from his ability to ask those questions because they are, in fact, things that elements or not elements, but information he has that he can test. Anything further, Mr. Steele?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing to say unless the court wants me to say something. It's just a continuation of the rants of the A-Love.
I didn't ask anybody laughing in the gallery, Gates. This is a courtroom, not some entertainment forum for you. Yes.
He didn't rule on anything yet?
What I'll do, advocates, is that I've heard your arguments, and I'll rule accordingly going forward. Okay?
Yes, Your Honor. This court should do the,
All right, that's it for day 42. Intense. Jury didn't hear any testimony, so kind of a waste of a day, to be honest. But
Nah,
the
yeah,
judge
for
lets the jury
real.
hear this recording, and everything Adrian Bean is discredited. Either way, they already know he's a liar, so I don't really see the importance too much. Surveillance footage
Right.
or eyewitnesses that say Thug was even at this scene, dude. So this shit is all pointless to me. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Like,
Hey, man. Like I said in the other previous, you know what I'm saying, videos about the Young Thug case, bro. It's starting to feel like they just holding my mans. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of the evidence that the DA is bringing, bro, it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know, bro. But make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, bro. We got the day 43 coming up very soon, bro. Y'all, you know we going to get to it, man. Road to 10K. I'll see y'all on the next one.